see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, guys, any...
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Northeast Professional Sports. Rod Stewart with Hot Legs. And speaking of Hot Legs, we have the Philly Sports Guy here. And Sonia, of course, as we go ahead and, yeah, there you are. And also CJ, the CJ jumps in here with us. So everybody, welcome to Northeast Professional Sports, where we, all your favorite talk show hosts here. We all get together and we talk about our teams a little bit. Good evening to you all. Good evening to everybody tuning in and that will be tuning in during the show. So let's get it going, guys. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Pax, there's a story broke by Joe Santalaquito, and you know him from the Philly Voice. He's been writing about the Eagles for years, also in boxing somewhat. And he talked a little bit about the Eagles, downfall at the end of the year, the last out of 5 to 6 games. He talked close about the coordinators, how that hurt you all, the changing coordinators. But he also talked a little bit about Jalen Hurts. And he was talking that Jalen Hurts kind of isolated himself from the team in the locker room and on the sideline, and that you saw him during the game. He went and sat by himself on the bench. He wasn't trying to rally the troops. He wasn't trying to, get up their face and get them fired up. He's kind of sitting by himself. And then a tight end Goddard went over there and was kind of yelling at him. I don't know if he was yelling at him because he wasn't with the team and he wasn't trying to fire him up or because he was sitting away from the team. But from what Joe Santos says was that maybe he's not that he's not the right quarterback for the team, but maybe he's got to kind of change what he does. Maybe he's got to get more involved with the team. What do you think about that, Pax?
No offense to Joe. It's like I feel like that he puts a lot of opinion in his articles. So I'm not exactly sure if it's real or if it's not, but I think that there was some stuff that was going on, obviously, and in the process of that, he wanted to be able to. Wow, you have a very loud chair. So, anyways, like it sounds to me like he wanted to. Like I said, I think that there was something else going on. He may have isolated himself a little bit because he was trying to be, more into the game. He realized that he needed to do different stuff. He kind of felt like there were certain drops that were happening and things like that he may felt like he needed to do this all on his own. So nobody can really say why. The fact that there was this exchange with Dallas Goedert and him. I don't know how involved really that was, but in the grand scheme of things, there was 2 people that these losses were really blamed on: Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Didn't matter how bad the defense played; they couldn't stop anybody. The bend and break defense just didn't stop anything, and it didn't matter that receivers were dropping the balls. Didn't matter what plays were coming in. It was like this was going to be Nick Sirianni's fault and Jalen Hurts' fault. And I think that when you understand that as a quarterback, you want to try to change it everything any way you can. You sort of look within rather than outside. And
Well,
I kind of feel like that's what occurred.
Good evening to Rick and good evening to Craig. My buddy Craig, a big Lions fan, he's all excited that his team is going to the championship. Well, we know that Joe Santoliquito has sources actually in the locker room, and that he predicted or he said what was going on with Carson Wentz. And at first they all thought he was crazy. And then he ended up on ESPN because he was right what he was saying about Carson Wentz, that that he's being protected by the Eagles. And he says that maybe the Eagles are protecting him a little bit like they were protecting Carson Wentz. So
Didn't he also say that he thought that the Eagles were going to implode last year? And I said, no, they're going to wind up going to the playoffs. They're going to be 2 years ago, and then we're going to be 9-8.
2 years
yeah,
ago,
and I said that was going to happen. And then I said the following year that they were going to go to the Super Bowl, and he kind of thought about that differently as well. Listen, I appreciate Joe and everything Joe does, but I'm not saying that he is 100% right all the time. He was one of the first ones to talk about Carson Wentz and say all that type of stuff. But I also, I've got sources in the locker room too. And I've got sources very close to the quarterbacks. And, those guys don't lie to me because there's no need for them to lie to me. And I don't usually tell them, I don't tell you guys all the stories because I want to be able to keep the sources the right way. I want to find out what I need to find out without having to, out anybody.
Yeah. And we did call Joel out on that. We had you and him on the show at the same time, as a matter of fact. To kind of go at it. And he did admit that he was wrong because he was just calling you a homer at the time, if I remember correctly. And of course what you said came true and what he said didn't. So anyway, so let's get to the 76.
Different from popular belief, I actually do know some stuff about football, including picks.
Yeah.
Way to call them out, Matt. You got both of them on the show. Wow.
Damn. Shots fired.
I missed that.
Hey, listen. I don't know if it's somewhere. It's got to be somewhere in archives there. We had to get those two guys together, and they're both. Listen, they both know what they're talking about. They just have different opinions on what they're saying. So, listen, Joe's really good at what he does. Don't get me wrong. I know Pags respects him, and I know Joe does respect Pags too. So it ended up working out in the end. So let's talk a little bit about the 76ers. We're going to kind of start slowly turning towards basketball and even hockey, believe it or not, as we get going here. So, Embiid has the first player in history to have over 70 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists. I think he passed, if I'm not wrong, Will Chamberlain on this. So, I kind of gave Pags a hard time about it because he was going against Wembanyama, who's built like a toothpick. But when you do this, against anybody, and the 76ers do this at any team, it's something to be said about this, Pags. It's something to be, that this was an unbelievable performance by Embiid.
Amazing, and it's funny. Of course, it happened 18 years to the day of Kobe Bryant's 81. Right. And it makes you wonder that if he played the same amount of minutes as Kobe Bryant did in that game, if he wouldn't have surpassed the 81, because he literally sat, he had 35 minutes in the game, 36 minutes in the game. That's it. So, there's a piece of me that thinks that he could have give him 6 more minutes and he would have had close to 85 points. He was just not missing. He wasn't shooting threes, so it wasn't like he was throwing the ball up there, and he just everything just happened to be falling. He was showing the young man, the Frenchman with the Japanese last name, how to play this game of basketball.
Yes, and not taking nothing away from Wembanyama either. He's probably going to be rookie of the year. Listen, guy's got touch. He can dribble the ball. He could shoot. This kid's going to be something else as time goes on. Maybe he puts on a couple pounds. I don't know. Hopefully he does. So Pags, let's fast forward. It's half of the year is through. Does any of this really matter if the 76ers don't win in the playoffs? All this stuff.
I think Joel Embiid said the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter right now. This is this is just another W. It's going to matter at the end of the season. And now I'm all excited because I feel like the Bucks made a bad mistake that I hope they live with for 5 or 6 years because they get to deal with the pain of Glenn Rivers now. I didn't even realize that their coach was on the hot seat, maybe getting fired. I mean, he's been the coach for like 3 weeks, and all of a sudden he's fired. And let's bring in Glenn Rivers.
Yes, old Doc Rivers. So let's go to you, Sonia, since Paz kind of led me into you here. Of course, you're going to be talking a little bit about the NBA for us with Carolina Panthers. Really no news coming out of there right now with coaching and anything. So let's get into that a little bit. I mean, Doc Rivers was a part of a championship team with the Celtics, although the Celtics had a really good team. A lot of people would say, well, anybody could have coached that team. You hear that a lot.
That's exactly it. I thought CJ was the coach of that team, could have coached that team to a championship.
So anyway, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, this guy had a 33-11 record. The rumors are that what I heard was that maybe he was losing the locker room, that his defense was a little bit, he was a little bit less defensive, and I don't know. All I know is right now Doc Rivers is sitting. I don't know if it's complete yet or not. Is it complete? Has everything been worked out as far as the contract and everything? It has. So
as far as I know,
what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that, Sonia? Is it a good move by them?
Yeah. So first of all, Mac, I must tell you there is a little bit of coaching news out of Carolina, real quick. Bill Belichick was set to speak with Dan Quinn is on his way to interview with the Falcons, and then he's going to go up to Charlotte on Thursday to meet with our team. So that's the only news I have about the Panthers. I just had to say that since you said it. Now, about Doc Rivers, yes, and it looks like even Magic Johnson is backing Doc on him becoming this coach. He's basically saying that he'll go in there and to be honest, he's going to be making demands of the Bucks. It's kind of like Magic Johnson is saying that the Lakers did not agree with Milwaukee. He didn't agree with the decision to part ways with the rookie coach. We know that he was fired not even just a little over halfway through the season, and he was doing really well. In fact, it was only like after 43 games that he was just, bam, you're gone. I don't know. Maybe they know David Tepper and they're friends with him as well, since it's off with your head. But he said that Magic Johnson says that, Rivers is going to come in there. He's going to have certain things that's going to be expected in order for that locker room to get over this shock of Griffin being dismissed so quickly, and to be brutally honest about what's going to be expected coming up. They're saying that the Bucks issues that they have on the defensive end were not Griffin's fault. And so I guess we just figure out like they just do whatever they want to do. But those are my thoughts on that.
Yes, guys, she is from the country. She's down there from Carolina and Atlanta.
I'm country as hell.
she was country when country wasn't cool, as the song goes. Anyway, let's bring in Keith Angle, and he comes here in every night with us.
Guy.
Every Wednesday.
Keith.
She country as hell.
Yeah, listen, don't pay Guy Fisher any mind. He's one of my followers from Weapon Top Mission Briefs. He's a diehard Jets fan, so he'll go and he'll start his garbage. So
maybe I should be using my broadcaster voice like this, which I studied in college. And what I think about Doc Rivers, he's going to do a well job. He's going to do really swell taking over the organization. Back to you, Matt. How's that? That's better?
That is such a load of crap. Straight load of crap. Doc Rivers, I tell you, you know what I heard? I heard that it was the defensive side of the ball that got this guy fired. And I tell you, they traded everybody. Anybody who played defense, they traded for Damian Lillard. So what do you expect from a team that's got no defense, and all of a sudden now you fired the coach and you brought in Doc? Great move. Awesome. I now expect the Sixers to get past the second round, especially if they're playing the Bucks.
So there's
Jim.
Jim. Yeah, Jim's
Mr.
in now
Jeffco.
along with Keith, and good
Hello.
evening to both of you.
Again.
And as you come in, we're slowly turning to basketball, as I've been saying the whole show.
Yeah.
We'll be talking.
Milwaukee.
We'll be getting into that, and we'll be getting into the Knicks. I mean, Guy Fisher, I guess that's his team. So we will be talking with the Knicks with Keith Angle here in a minute. But I want to get the rest of the basketball news in with Sonia. So, the Lakers, when Magic, it's the same, you watch the promo, and without the Lakers, without LeBron, the Lakers aren't doing well. It hasn't changed since 2 years ago. When LeBron's not on the court, it seems that the Lakers have a problem getting wins, Sonia.
And it's so weird because people are always aging LeBron, which we know he has been in the league for quite a while. But there was talks of getting him some help on the offense with that team, or, because he's going to need it. He needs the support. Let's be honest. He's expected to carry a really heavy load with that team and has done so for quite a while. So I don't know. I think that would be the solution is LeBron needs the help. He just, cannot do it solo by himself anymore with the age that he now is. I mean, he's still young. Let's be clear, everybody, in case I'm attacked by Guy again. But he does need help out there.
So yeah, Guy, be nice. So anyway, we're also looking at the Clippers, and now that that their star is healthy, they're playing really good ball over there. The Clippers may even be favored to get to the championship, from what some commentators are saying. Sonia, what's going on with the Clippers right now? As long as he stays healthy, they should be good, right?
The Clippers are one of these kind of like how we talk about in the NFL, the sneaky teams. Now they just beat the Lakers 127-116. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you're talking about putting up points on the board, it definitely is a lot. Of course, James Harden, the journeyman himself of the NBA, has definitely been point guarding at his best, and Kawhi Leonard has definitely been supporting him. And they seem to have the dream team, especially with Russell Westbrook, and then you have Paul George holding up the end with small forward. Now, they are ranked right now 4th in the Western Conference, but that rank can change at any time. As we know, the Western Conference hasn't been one of our top conferences going forward, but they definitely, in my opinion, have the wherewithal, what have you, to try to pull forward. Now, let's be clear, LeBron did not play in that game. So that may have been what was pivotal in them winning the game. So they are very dependent on him, but the West is kind of up for grabs, in my opinion, right now, especially with the Clippers kind of being in and out.
Lakers got their trophy this year. They don't need another one.
Yeah, that little whole thing they had earlier. Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true, Keith. CJ, I don't know. Did you bring your whole family with you on the show tonight? And everybody's coming over and saying hi to CJ.
I shared this show all over the place. Pretty much every page that I belong to got a post for tonight's show. I think we're getting a post for Wednesday night show, for Sonia's show, for the Mac and Jack show. Anybody who's out there on any SSP, when you see CJ DeSimone posting, you know it's going to every single page that that I'm either administrator, a part of, or whatever.
And I love that.
The word out.
And I love that. I wish the people where I shared to my platform need to come and have my back for that Guy Fisher person that said I was country as hell. I need everybody because I shared it to a bunch of my pages. He said she country as hell, and for a minute I was like, wait a minute, talking about me. And then I was like, oh wow.
You're the only female on here, so
they're talking about me. Then I was like, oh no, she is me.
When Hot Leagues come on, that's when I introduced Pags, so maybe he got confused and thought Pags. I don't know. Who knows?
I resemble that remark. I resemble that.
You're from the South. No, you're not. You just played down there. Help me out.
He's a Jersey kid.
Jersey.
That's where that's right. He's a giant fan from Jersey.
They're from
God.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's all you Northeasterners.
That's right. Yes, we stick together.
You be as country as you want. Don't let nobody try to talk you off the ledge over here. You know me, Sonia. Don't worry about what these knuckleheads got to say.
Thank you.
All right. So a little bit about the Warriors. The Warriors, are they done, guys? Are the Warriors all done? I mean, they got no size. You can't depend on a 3-point shooter to just win the games for you all the time. He really doesn't have any help right now. Thompson's up and down. You've got Green in there. In there right now, Draymond Green. And he doesn't have a lot of size to play inside. So, I mean, what do you think about the Warriors, Sonia? Are they done this year?
I think so. I mean, they used to call the Splash Brothers Stephon, oh Lord, honey, Curry, all three of them, and it's like since the Draymond drama, I like to call it, they have been nothing but a dried up puddle. The splash is over with them.
Yeah, and age is catching up with them, and age catches everybody.
Age, and then I really feel like there's going to be some trades coming up, because I think they're going to probably split that team. To be honest with you, they're just not the Warriors they were, and I'm a huge Warrior fan because of Mr. Curry, because he's from Carolina. But and I have a T-shirt and everything, so trust me, I'll wear it on here. But they are done as the unit we saw. I mean, unless they convince us significantly otherwise, they're completely.
Well, and also they don't have the complementary players. We always had Curry and all those guys as stars, but they also had complementary guys that could take some minutes off of them, and now they don't have it.
Very true. And if anybody has anything about getting old, it's Jim Jeffcoat. He got really old fast. We went to Buffalo. So anyway,
shots fired.
It is true. It is true. I mean,
just something about the Warriors, though. I mean, if you think about it, like their backcourt got old very quickly. They were relying upon the three, but as far as the rest of the league, if you think about it, when the Golden State Warriors were very successful and they were setting NBA records for wins during the regular season and going in deep runs in the playoffs. Think about this. They pretty much laid out a blueprint for the rest of the league to catch up to them.
Yeah.
And I mean, eventually everyone's going to figure out what you do well and how to exploit it.
And there's no question about it.
So, I mean, go ask Phil Jackson with the triangle, right? The triangle was one of the most styles of play in the NBA for almost 2 decades. And you know what? Eventually people figured out how to beat the triangle. That's why you hardly see the triangle being played anymore.
Yeah.
So now, the 3-point shooting and a lot of perimeter shooting and stuff like that is now.
Well, what I'm interested is now you're seeing in the last couple of weeks, you've seen big men starting to score again.
Yes.
You can't match up with him, obviously. Embiid at Philly. Obviously, what happened in Minnesota, you're starting to see the big men take control of the game again, as opposed to the guards and things. And you're looking at that, and it's transition periods.
Yeah, and the big men are taking more threes now than they ever had before. It was basically under the basket. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to put a layup in. Right now, you got so many big men that could shoot from downtown that it's changed the game also. So Keith, let's get to the Knicks because Guy Fisher is he's itching to talk about the Knicks.
Great as he is, like.
But
it's been over a decade since they've been anything relevant, and they're still not. But at least because I know that you like to talk about the Knicks all the time too.
Yes. So anyway, so before we get there, a quick Patriots thing because I want to talk a little bit about Belichick with you. Is it possible that Bill Belichick doesn't coach this year? I mean, there's only so many slots left, and you've got so much competition now that maybe he doesn't get his job, Keith.
It's possible. I mean, we've never seen, I don't think, this kind of caliber of unemployed coaches in the past. This many at one time. And Bill, he's got his sights out of Atlanta, and supposedly there's two other unnamed teams. Nobody's naming them, but he's, from what I read, Atlanta's where he wants to go. He's had it with the big markets. He wants to get somewhere smaller and less of a microscope, I suppose. But again, he's going to a place with no quarterback, so it's going to be very interesting.
He also has issues with McKay, Rich McKay. So
I heard today that if Dallas hurries up and dumps Dak, it'd be the perfect scenario for Belichick
not
to come
gonna
to
jump
Atlanta.
They
I
can't.
know what they. I know they won't.
We're going to get to that. Trust me, we're going to get to that. We
They
will
need
get
to
to
dump
that.
Dak. That's the
It was
problem.
said because then
That'd be the
Atlanta would
dumbest
have
thing
their
they could do.
quarterback.
And you know something? That's gonna be interesting. As
Besides, the
I'll
cap
go.
hit will kill them. The cap hit alone will kill them. Besides not
know.
having a quarterback.
Yeah,
I know,
yes,
but they were talking about it this morning on Get Up about that. So
yes,
yeah.
yes, they
And
were.
you look at who was talking about it. It's not going to happen.
It wasn't
Yes.
Stephen A. though this time.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
So Keith, let's get it. The Knicks are now have been 10-2 or now 11-2 since they beat Brooklyn, coming from behind last night in the fourth quarter. I mean, Brooklyn is not a lot to talk about, but it's important that you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, right? I mean, if you can't do that, then you're not going to go anywhere anyways. But
Yeah.
I like the way that their chemistry right now, their defense turns into offense. I still think they need that one player to put them over the top and make them a contender in the East. What are your thoughts?
It's not going to be a big name. If they make a trade, it's going to be for a complimentary piece. I mean, the biggest name they might pick up is Kyle Lowry, and his best days are behind him. But he's a good complimentary piece. Since they've gotten, Abu Dhabi, I will say his name wrong. What do you say?
I know.
Knicks.
Oh my
Knicks,
God.
843 and 11-25 since 1999.
Ooh.
Don't tell me the Knicks are irrelevant.
Actually, they're not, but that's okay. That's a Philly guy talking. I think we've only got one less world championship in the last 50 years or 76ers. Well, maybe a couple more. But
Wait, are they still trusting the process over in Philly? I just want to know.
Hold on. You know what? 70 points says yes.
oh boy. Anunoby has made this team a much better team because they space the floor better, right? You don't have Barrett. Yeah, you don't have Barrett and Randall all over each other, and it's helped Brunson and Randall. If they make another move, it's going to be a small move. But this team, I love what the chemistry is on this team right now. Hart's playing better, I think, than he did early. The biggest disappointment is probably Grimes, who's has really stepped back, taken a step back this year. But you got to like what's happening here. I mean, I wouldn't like seeing the Knicks creeping up on me if I was from Philadelphia either. But
guess what? They ain't creeping up on us. You guys are still way behind. Hold on. What is the record right now? Let me show you. Let me show you.
Get out of
you guys
town.
are
17.
Get out of town.
You guys are
New York is
four full
27-17.
games behind us.
Yep.
4 games behind us.
All that
Yeah,
matters
that
is
means-
what happens in April, May, and June. That's all that matters.
You tell them, Keith. And let me tell you, when we beat the 76ers twice, that makes up them 4 games pretty quickly. So I'm not worried about it.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't believe
I
so.
know.
Just like you guys thought last year too, right? Guess what happened?
What do we think?
You guys
What do we
didn't do
think?
it.
We won a
You guys didn't do
we
it.
won a
You didn't
playoff
do it.
series.
You
Wait a
didn't do
minute.
it. You didn't do it.
We won a playoff series, and you didn't. That's what happened last year. So
What are you
let's get
talking
it
about?
straight.
We won a playoff series.
You got beat by Miami. I mean, you lost to Miami.
What are you
last year.
talking- yeah, in the second round. Will you get your facts right?
So
We actually lost
So
I
Miami.
tell you, this is the problem. This is the problem with the homers that are Knicks fans. They still are waiting.
talk about a
to, you know-
homer. Talk about a homer. Talk
Time
about a
out.
homer.
You
Oh,
can't be
man.
calling anybody a homer here.
Wow.
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. And guy, that's not true. The Celtics are very good. So anyways, Sonia, I'm trying to let you get through this. I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard. So let's go one last question with you. The Dallas Mavericks. I mean, what do you think about their chances this year?
Oh, let's see. So I just was looking at them yesterday. Dallas Mavericks are pretty low in their conference, but they do have Luka Doncic and Kyrie. They have another one of these packages like the Clippers do. They are right now 24-19, so I guess that'd be kind of like half and half. I can't really bank on them right now as far as playoff potential. I think if they win out, they can get in as far as, that goes, if they start winning some more. But right now it's too early to tell, even though it's not really too early to tell because playoffs are coming soon. But I feel like they may be one of those teams that have to win to stay in when the season is starting to wrap up. You know how they have that new thing where a lower team plays the higher team and all that stuff. I think that's what's going to probably happen with them, unless they turn around and start winning. Like, they've got to get over that 24 mark and 19, because that's too close to go either way right now.
They have injury issues. They're fighting injuries, and that's really killing them.
Well, especially that.
No doubt.
Can't play
so, Jim, what is up with your Dallas family over there? You got family members yelling on Twitter and they're get rid of Dak. He shouldn't be taking money. He should give money back. If he can't take that, pack his bags and leave. I mean, you got mothers, brothers,
and that's it. Sometimes with family members, this Twitter, and we talked about this social media era is it's out of hand. You have mothers, you have brothers and stuff, but you have to. And Troy Aikman said something interesting. You got to block out the noise, because this is a different era, and just because your brother or your son plays, the entitlement of it, now they can say anything they want, which they really can't, because they don't know how that's going to disrupt the locker room. And there's some people. Michael Parsons did defend Dak. But, there's some things that you can't tell your family sometimes. Your family needs to shut their mouth and sit back there and watch the game. They're not playing it.
Well, Micah needs to defend himself. I don't remember seeing Dak defense in that game.
No, I don't either. But I was just saying, maybe Dak defended, but there's not a lot of players that's come to his defense right now. And that's kind of
Parsons did come to his defense. CeeDee Lamb, I don't know if he's on any of the social medias, but he didn't.
His mama is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And that's going. They have to get that. Mike McCartney has to take control of that and say, "Hey, we don't work that way," and get this, because this could fester. And that's
I don't know if Mike McCarthy can take control of anything as far as the way
you got to remember he was 12-5 for 3 years, so he's doing something right.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that, and with a lot of talent.
I mean, the schedule wasn't all that.
Somebody has to develop
with subpar teams that they're beating up on the whole season. If everybody they beat is under 500 or close to it, and I guess that is 12-5.
And the Eagles
12-5 is better than Carolina.
Yeah, and they're one of the teams that they beat up on, because that's how Dallas does. They got a weak ASS schedule, and that's how they got 12-5. And that's why
that's not how they got 12.
They collapsed the very first week in the playoffs.
And they did.
They're not really a 12-5 team.
They're
not. You are what your record says.
You are what you are. Your record says.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Bill Parcells.
Let's get them to play some playoff contender teams off the rip.
Well,
see if they can
honestly,
mollywop
next
up
year,
on them.
They're gonna play some good teams. They play not good teams, because you still play Carolina, but
whatever, Jim. Whatever.
Wow.
The NFC North, and there's some good teams in the division.
Hey, did you
got
Jim,
the rug snatched out of?
Were you surprised that Joe Barry was let go by the Packers?
Well, what happened, Pags, is he struggled this year. I was surprised, but he did have a good at the end of the year. But there must have been some other things going on, because I thought Joe Barry did a good job at the end of the year helping them win games. I like Joe Barry.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at that.
Fangio mutually agreed to leave Miami. So, this is
that means he was fired. That means he was fired. Anytime you mutually leave somewhere, that means you're fired.
I don't think he was fired.
It's just a nice way of saying kick a
you're
rock.
fired. Right.
A couple things. Ken Dobie says Dallas just has no plans for the playoffs. And, Jim, you can't blame him for saying that. I mean, every year they get in the playoffs, and every year something happens where they don't win in the playoffs. So,
Kenneth Gifford was drinking tonight, so I understand that. But the thing is that you're right. They got to have a plan for it. There is no they didn't do as well as they should have. They had a home field advantage in the first half, and they would have had the first two. And you can't say they have to get that corrected. Whatever it is, they have to, and that's a part. There's 28 other teams that got to get it corrected too, right?
Yeah, but we're just talking about Dallas right now.
Yes, we are. And Kenneth Gifford says the 5 losses are against playoff team. Kind of says it. You know, they're kind
you look at everybody's losses; they're all going to be against good teams. If you're
hold on. Arizona was a playoff team.
The only one was Arizona. The only one was there. But you lost to Arizona too. I like that.
We're not talking about the Eagles. We're talking about Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas.
I don't care. I don't care. We're talking about Dallas.
Jordan Love. This is all I'm gonna do. Dallas got beat by Aaron Rodgers 2.0, which is Jordan Love. I can't even get my heart straight.
Yeah,
Right.
he did.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so anyway,
you know, there's no excuse for it. And
listen, everybody got
have an extension.
Everybody that got to the playoffs, you know, congratulations for them, especially the ones that haven't been. Especially been there and won in a long time. You know, I'm
just one extra week of play. Just one extra week of play. That wasn't no playoffs, man. Just one extra extended.
It was one game more than Carolina.
We've been out this week too. We don't care.
You got that right. I'll agree with that. So
you were out before the season.
That's true.
I said week 2.
So Jim, a little bit about the Buffalo Bills. Of course, you play defensive end.
Yes. I watched that. I
part-time.
I picked them to win.
Yeah,
me
part-time
too.
as
we
a
both did.
Pass rusher. So it wasn't a full commitment he had over there, guys. He was just a part-time defensive rusher with the Bills at the time. So, you know, let's talk a little bit about Josh Allen, if we could. Josh Allen, you know, God bless this dude is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He does things that a lot of people never have seen, you know, doing a football field. He's like Patrick Mahomes in that way. He runs sort of like Jackson does, but he still hasn't beaten Mahomes.
This is and I like Josh Allen.
Let me finish him. He still hasn't beaten Mahomes. He's still not going to go to a Super Bowl. I don't think he'll go to Super Bowl as long as Mahomes and Burrows are there. They're just there's something about that there, and his legacy. So he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, I think, when his season is when his career is over. But you know, when you don't win that Super Bowl, there's something about it. Jim Kelly won 4 times, and he's still not considered a great quarterback amongst, you know, the Joe Montanas and stuff like that. So what do you think about Josh Allen and his legacy if he doesn't get to a Super Bowl?
Well, here's the thing. Tom Brady leaves New England, and he didn't beat Tom Brady. Now he has Patrick Mahomes, and he hasn't beat him. And he hasn't been the opportunity to get to a championship game because of these guys. And we're talking about it. He is a good quarterback. Is he a great one? That's hard to say because he has the same problems that Prescott has. Until you win the big games, then are you a great quarterback? You talked about Kelly. He didn't win the Super Bowl, but he went 4 times in a row. That's pretty impressive.
Right. And they still
you get to the big
wait a second. If I could chime in on that.
Huh?
Buffalo went 4 times in a row. Do you know what that average loss was? 37 points. Okay, it's not just enough to make it to the Super Bowl. You have to win the Super Bowl.
But if you notice, the third time when they played, it was against Dallas, and we got after them. But other than that, those games were close. It was a wide right, or they would have beat the Giants. They weren't blown out by Washington. And in the last game against Dallas, they weren't blown. We didn't blow them out.
The momentum was set when they missed that wide right. I really still believe, and Jim, you were there. If they made that kick, they might have won 3 of those 4 Super Bowls. I truly believe they would not have been getting blown out by 37 points.
I wasn't there with the Giants. Wide right hurt them.
Yeah,
they had a chance, but other than that,
but after that
the team.
After that instance, the other games are waiting for things to go wrong, and they did.
And that's what happens. But I like Josh Allen, but I don't know.
Well,
he's got to get the monkey off his back. He's got to get the money, and the same thing with Prescott.
Yeah, but you know, listen, the same thing happened. You know, with Buffalo, you really can't blame Josh Allen for that loss. No. I mean, you can blame them because they didn't win, if that makes any sense. You know, you dropped the pass, you missed the field goal. There was a few plays there that, you know, that could have won. They could have won the game. They were right there with Kansas City. It's just that Patrick Mahomes finds a way whether his receivers are good or they're average or they drop balls, he finds a way to win the games. And that's the great thing about him.
Might be one of the best quarterbacks in the league at this point. And there's no question about that as far as, and you're right, he finds a way to win. And he fits. But we're going to find out this week because he's playing Baltimore.
I think there's a guy that keeps coming on these shows that keeps saying, stop counting out the Chiefs. I've been saying it for 2 years. They won a Super Bowl last year and people count them out. And this year they may win another one.
Yeah, you're right.
And, last time I checked, I was 4-0 in my picks. So I know that I was still with them.
Yes, you were.
Well, here's the thing.
A lot of people,
because the Eagles couldn't play us.
There's a lot of people that are 3-1. Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead, PJ.
Patrick Mahomes, if he is able to go to the Super Bowl again this year and win another Super Bowl this year, he will completely cement his legacy with where he will go from great to elite. Where when you talk about elite quarterbacks in the NFL, you cannot talk about elite quarterbacks in the NFL without mentioning Pat Mahomes.
I don't think you can now.
That is the point you can right now. Now, here's the thing with Josh Allen. All right. And I 100% agree with Kenny's comment over there where Jim Kelly had a great defense and Josh Allen does not. Josh Allen also needs another skill position player because if you think about it, Stephon Diggs cannot do it by himself.
Stephon Diggs, he should be off the team. He stinks. Can't make a catch in a big moment. Hasn't done it yet, and he still hasn't done it.
Just like most of the Giants this year.
You would take Stephon Diggs.
I'm a Jets fan, and I can sit here and say that I can trade off my team for friggin' Stephon Diggs. Just for him to make a catch.
Listen.
He's available. I'd like him, please.
Well, you guys.
And I tell you, it's more and more like Mac is starting to get like Jack and saying some weirdo things.
Diggs is a cancer, guys.
He is not a cancer.
He's a
problem. He is a wide receiver.
Listen,
all those wide receivers are like that. They're divas.
Dude, not all, Jim. Not all.
Yes,
not
they're
all.
divas.
No, they're not. Not all of them are. Stop.
Yes,
Byron Williams would tell you you're 100% wrong here.
Byron's a diva. I got to do a show with him every night.
He's not. Byron was on my show last night. He is not a diva.
He's a diva.
He's awesome.
Pags is getting like Jack. He's starting to stir the pot over there at the top right corner. Is what's going on now. So, anyway, listen. I think Josh Allen. It's not his fault that they lost, but again, he did not push him to win that game, and that's something that you got to. Listen, Josh seems like a nice guy. I mean, he really does. But nice guys don't finish in first. I guess is the saying now. So,
anyway, he finished first in the division.
There's one of my people. Hi,
so
MJ.
that means all of the Giants guys, all their quarterbacks are all.
Why do you keep
nice
bringing
guys.
the Giants? We whooped your
ass.
Because
I mean, obviously you want to bag on everybody else's team when your team stunk. EU. You had DeVito. You had DeVito.
So bad that your quarterback went over in the bench and sulked and cried. I mean,
but you know what? He was in the playoffs. He was in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he got beat again.
The same quarterback knocked you out of the playoffs last year. So I don't want to hear it.
And you got beat again.
Italian BLTs.
Yes, that's right. And he makes good Italian BLTs too. Better than the Philly steak sandwiches, by the way. But anyway,
no chance.
Good morning to MJ Johnson. How you doing out there? As you see, this show gets out of control real fast.
Really
I don't know what. I don't know.
Listen, before we start talking about quarterbacks over here, you want to talk about quarterback futility? Try being a New York Jets fan. All right, where we have gone through 25 years of quarterback futility. All right, we haven't had a competent quarterback since Chad Pennington. So just I don't want to hear about Danny DeVito. I don't want to hear about Danny Dimes. I don't want to hear about anybody.
I think it's more like 50 years. Sorry.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Well, wait a second. Richard Todd and Ken O'Brien, although Ken O'Brien got selected before Dan Marino. And
I'm crying over here for you, CJ. I'm crying.
Listen, I've been trying for over 40 years rooting for this team.
Jack's on vacation,
Rick, Jack
He's
would
down
not
in
rein
Florida.
things in. Jack would not rein things in. Jack would be sitting there smiling at the top of the
Jack
screen.
would be talking about two-hand touch, Rick.
Yeah,
He's coming on my show
God.
tomorrow night. He's coming on my
Yeah,
show
there you
tomorrow
go.
night. Jackie.
Nice. I gotta watch that.
Oh, that's much TV.
Let me tell you, that will be interesting because I don't know who talks more, her or Jack. I just to see who gets a word in edgewise will be fun. That will be a
I'll
great
just
show.
pose the questions and just let him talk.
Yeah, that'll happen. Okay, that'll be great. We'll see what happens. So we did have the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame inductees get in there. We got Bauer, Helton, and Mauer. Keith, you're big in the MLB, so I'm gonna turn to you first. Is this become the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Very Good? What do we got?
Not even very good.
It's the Hall of, in a ways, with some picks, it's the Hall of Good, yes. But Mauer, to me, I have no problem with Mauer and Beltre. Mauer won 3 batting titles. He was best catcher of his generation until he got hurt. Beltre speaks for himself. Todd Helton shouldn't be in. He's a creation of Coors Field. Look at his numbers on the road. And you look at some, when I look at guys like Harold Baines, and they're all good players. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to disparage them, but Harold Baines doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Sorry.
Yes. It's the Hall of Somewhat Good.
Yes.
Yep.
Look at, and if they're going to be there, I can think of a lot of guys that got to be there as well. And it's gotten to be the Hall of Good, and it's got to be like the NFL.
I don't know what the Hall of get the votes. Let me vote for my guy.
Yeah.
It's such a load of crap. It is such a load of crap.
And to keep guys out, how do you have a Hall of Fame? I'm not keeping Barry Bonds out. I'm not keeping Clemens out. I'm not keeping Pete Rose out. Let them in and tell the story of what they did, and that's fine. Tell the story.
Pete Rose, I would definitely keep out until he's dead. He's the posthumous one.
He's
and
all
that's
over
out
the
of respect.
anyway, though.
That's out of respect for what's his face, who made the call. But ultimately, I mean, I understand whatever, with it or without it, that's fine. He had a chance to be considerate, and he chose violence that day too. So Pete Rose shouldn't go in there. You know what I mean? You're right. McGuire, Sosa, Clemens, all of those guys, they didn't test for those steroids, so they didn't break the rules.
Unless I know everybody that did it. I mean, I don't know who did it and who didn't. So you got to let them in.
Listen, right. Pete Rose, if he didn't continue lying, he might be in, right? If he didn't just continue to lie and lie and lie, he had a chance to get in the Hall of Fame. They gave him a chance, but he didn't want to take it. So anyway, listen, I agree. I've been saying this for a year. You put the best players in. And you've got some players that are out right now that have been unbelievable players. You could put them up against the Mickey Mantles and the DiMaggios almost all the great players. The Willie Mays. Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. They're comparable, Jim. That's all I'm saying. Right.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you think possibly maybe the criteria for players to now be selected into the Hall of Fame really needs to be looked at and really needs to be scrutinized a little bit more than it has been scrutinized in the past? Because it just seems like that they're just coming up with different excuses to let, a guy should come in, a guy should get in because he did this. A guy should get in because he did that. A guy should get in because he did the other thing. I just feel like that the Hall of Fame is exactly that. The Hall of Fame. You have done something in your career that is so extraordinary that it will probably never be repeated in your lifetime. And I just feel like that over the years, we have started to we've started to water down the wine. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm taking that comment from Vin Scully. And I remember one time a couple of years ago when he was on the Michael Kay show, when he talked about that, when he talked about the sport of baseball, he talked about the game of baseball, he talked about different things in regards to players being voted into the Hall of Fame. And I just feel like that now instead of it being the Hall of Fame, we should just rename it to the Hall of Participation Trophies. Because it just seems like we're handing out participation trophies because this guy played 15 years in the league. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. What did you do? I'm going to put somebody in the Hall of Fame who's a career 260 batting average.
Here. I 100% agree. No Roland, none of half these guys.
CJ, you would have got your point across better if you would have cussed a little bit.
I think he did.
I'm trying to keep it clean. I'm trying to keep it clean.
And the mic went out.
Maybe if he didn't lose his voice, we could have heard what he said for that.
Yeah, there was something else I wanted to say. I had to rein it in. Family.
There was a few spots where some F words would have been in good context, I think.
So anyway, stop encouraging him. He's doing really well with us right now. So anyway, so the first mock draft, Kuiper's first mock draft comes out. He'll have like 10 or okay. Pax has got to go. Pax, thanks for joining us.
Pax, appreciate you. We love you.
See you guys.
NFC after this. All right. Yes. There you go. I don't know. It's gotta
get rid of it.
It's got to be yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's. Oh Lord. So let's get to the first draft that Mel Kiper. He always puts out like 3 or 4.
Really quick, Mac. Just breaking news per ESPN. Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan to accept a head coaching job with the Chargers per Adam Schefter.
All right.
Nice shot there. Happen. I was talking about that at 9, everyone.
PJ with the on the spot breaking news. That's normally what Robert Butler does, but since he doesn't come on the show anymore because he's got a work schedule, CJ has taken over that role.
Yeah, and breaking news: Jim Harbaugh got suspended from college football for sole cause from now on.
Okay, Jim, right in your coattails, CJ. I've never seen that. So let's get to this mock draft. It's always a little fun to talk about. Kiper has Caleb Williams going to the Bears, Jaden Williams going to Washington, Drake May to New England, Marvin Harrison going to Arizona, Brock Brewer, tight end of Georgia, going to the Chargers, Giants drafting a wide receiver, Malik Neighbors. He's from LSU. You have offensive tackle, Joe Alton, Notre Dame, going to Tennessee. Chicago gets a second pick. According to them, they're going to go and grab the Washington wide receiver there, Rome. I don't know how to pronounce that. So anyway, Penn State has an offensive tackle being taken. I think the biggest.
Did I miss Marvin Harrison Jr. in there? Or maybe I missed it.
Yeah, Arizona.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And he's the best player in the draft. He ought to be in there.
I agree. Of course, you can have people that will debate that with you, Keith, especially Jack. But the point I want to make here is that I think the biggest story here is Justin Fields, right? What are they going to do with him? Are they going to keep him? Are they going to trade him for draft picks? Are they going to keep him with another quarterback like has been done in the past? I think this is the biggest story coming out of the draft. I think Chicago could get some nice picks for him if they trade him away.
I think it's going to be opposite. They're going to trade that pick. They're going to keep.
I think they're going to send it to the Vikings.
Because with every offensive coordinator that they interviewed, they asked what they would do with Justin Fields and how would they play him. So okay. I think they'll keep him, and they can get a bounty to get, because there's going to be teams that want to obviously get up to get Caleb Williams.
And they interviewed Kingsbury for the offensive coordinator job too, who coached Caleb Williams this year, and they did not choose him for that position. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah,
might be a telling sign there.
I wish we had something to trade to get our number 1 pick back.
You do Thielman.
So we get a wide receiver.
Trey Thielman. He's one of the best receivers in the league.
You could trade some Carolina ribs.
Carolina ribs.
Carolina ribs.
You get some Carolina ribs, those dry ribs.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Listen, I agree. I think Justin Fields. Listen, I would love the Giants to trade for him. I'd take Fields in a minute. I think he's going to be. I think this guy's still got a potential, a lot of potential. If they could get a quarterback coach with him, wow, I think he's going to be.
But think about how many things that you can help. Chicago has gotten better as the season progressed. Think of how many things you can get if you trade that first pick, and they still got a top 10 pick left.
Yeah, number 9.
Yeah, they do.
9.
Well, then I'll tell
8
you
or
what.
9, yeah.
Trade him to the Patriots. We keep our third pick. I'll take Fields and then take Marvin Harrison at 3, and I'll be very happy.
That's why I can see the Patriots doing that, because if you heard what the head coach said, they got a lot of money and they go spend. So why not trade up to get him?
I heard the Falcons might be trying to move up so they can try to get a quarterback.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, they need a quarterback. There's no doubt about that. So, and the Jets aren't going to do anything. They're standing pat. So, they got their whole future riding on a guy that's running the team. It's
and it's nothing against Caleb Williams, but I have problems with guys that paint their fingernails. I'm just saying. I'm just
wow.
saying.
Wow.
I think
Say to him. I'm just
canceled, Jim.
Hey, listen.
What about Jaden Daniels? What about Jaden Daniels?
I like Jaden
Nobody
Daniels.
mentioned him.
Send. We mentioned him. Send all your hate mail to Jim Jeffcoat.
No, I'm not saying he has
Put his email out there, man. Put his
Wait a
email out
second.
there.
You just rating out of 10.
The kid he's gonna get criticized. Could you imagine if he was New England's quarterback?
No.
What Keith would be saying about him?
I would be canceled just like you will be, Jim, actually.
Right.
For sure.
All right, people. This is Jim.
Everybody put
in Texas.
Put his phone number out there.
I'm not saying that. But come on, man.
Hey, listen, whatever you want to say, Jim, it's a free country.
Quarterbacks, they wear fingernail polish. Come on, man.
Right.
You're going to get so many rainbows.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, so CJ, let's get CJ in here for a minute. We were supposed to spend some time talking about hockey, but we're getting there at the top of the hour. CJ, a brief statement of hockey news that you have for us. I mean, I think you're an Islanders fan, if I'm correct. No, Rangers? Okay, there you go. Good. I knew I liked you. So give us a little bit of news and so we can get off here quick. Go ahead.
All right, so real quick in a nutshell, the Oilers definitely one of the hottest teams in the NHL. Bruins are starting to find their stride. You're starting to see a lot of teams starting to find their stride, except for the New York Rangers. And the New York Rangers right now have issues on the right wing. They have issues in goaltending, as Igor Shesterkin has not been the Vezina Trophy winner as a couple of years ago. Instead, it just seems like he is having more and more difficulty tracking the puck. So he needs to figure out, and quick, a few people have talked about possibly swapping him and Jonathan Quick as starter. Jonathan Quick's going to the Hall of Fame. We already know that. Igor's got to figure it out. Filipino he's on slate to skate with the team, which is good. He's coming back from a head injury. He actually went overseas to rehab. Put a couple of videos on Instagram and stuff of his rehab. So hopefully he's good to go. I just think right now the Rangers and Chris Drury are going to have a lot of work to do, and March 8th is right around the corner. So that gets here quick. NHL trade deadline is definitely going to be interesting.
All right, CJ, great job. Great job.
I got to get him to come on my show so we start talking
talking hockey over that. That's very impressive. Very impressive.
That was very impressive.
I was. I mean, he rolled that out like in a minute and a half.
That was damn good.
Yeah, it was very good. All right, folks. So stay with us here on Roku. We've got the NFC East show coming up. We've got Sonia with Chris Palme coming up. We got J&B talking shop in an hour with Byron Williams and with Jim Jeffcoat.
My diva co-host.
Right, and Keith will be doing something.
So you're a diva.
Keith will be sitting back, drinking a beer, watching all the great shows on Roku. That's what Keith will be.
All right.
Thank you, folks. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the views, the love, the likes, and have